What's good? I go by Osiris. This is Middle Mega. And I've been trying to think about what I'm going to do for Halloween. I'm not a big Halloween guy. But I got kids now, and then we get invited to these parent parties with the kids and stuff. I'm just old, man. Back in the day, I would have been down for it. But okay, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to be for Halloween? And my wife's going through a list of different things. I'm like, nah, that's whack. Nah, that's whack. Nah, I'm not gonna be. I was Star Wars last year. I'm gonna do Steve Urkel. I think I'm gonna do Steve Urkel. I mean, this is the first year I have glasses. I think I got glasses this year. It seems normal now. I have contacts, but the glasses are just easier. I'm lazy, so you just go boom, boom. And I wear contacts where they're the hard lens or the sclera lenses. I have all three of them. None of them are really easy to put on. So the glasses are just simple. And I'm old and I don't care how I look. I don't give a damn. So I think I might be like, did I do that? Put on some old school 90s jeans and some straps. And then I already got the glasses. I already look like a 46-year-old Steve Urkel. Might as well go with it. Family Matters back. It reminds me of the 90s. I'm a 90s kid. Greg Wilson says, what's up, man? It's been a minute. Why are you still up, Greg? I'm surprised that anybody is when I go live late, every single day I'm surprised that even one person comes by. That's why I'm very grateful. Great friend of show, Greg Wilson says, I always wear a suit and make up some BS. Greg, I vividly remember in, I believe, a second grade, elementary school, one of my best friends, his name was John. And neither one of us was big on Halloween. I'd never been big on Halloween. I went getting candy and stuff, but I wasn't overblown on it. But we walked in the school parade. He was John, I was Wayne. And we walked side by side. And people would be like, what are y'all doing? We'd be like, John Wayne. I don't know why. I don't remember anything. I remember that like it was yesterday. I have no idea why. I can picture the playground, everything. It's crazy how the mind works. But I think Halloween's been on my mind also because we're seeing people's true colors come out. And when it comes to life and death and morality. And we're seeing that we are being led by some of the most disgusting, corrupt cabal of power-hungry, greedy, murderous, maggot monsters across the globe. Whether it's Putin, whether it's Zelensky, whether it's these Hamas characters, whether it's Israel, IDF, whether it's our own government, Brandon, and others, as we know and we talk about. That's what's happening in the world right now, is that we are seeing monsters come out of their shells that have always been monsters. And we kind of maybe already knew that they were monsters. But then now it's like, this is the reveal. Like they're coming out full blown. This is beyond mask off. This is like coming out of the ground, some type of like life of Return of the Living Dead, except like the monsters are huge. And they're controlling and manipulating all of us. And it's easy to see. Because you can't ask questions of them. But they have demands of you. Israel posted on X I said Israel, it's the IDF, the Israel Defense, what's the F stand for? Federation? I just call them IDF. I don't even remember what the F is. The F is for FU. The IDF, they posted on X, if you don't stand, something to the effect, I'll paraphrase because I'm not going to pull it up. If you don't stand with Israel, then you stand with terrorists. So we've got people who not only can you not question them, if you don't agree with them, then you are now a terrorist. That's not going to work for me. And that's what this live is, for the most part, going to be about. There's some great, I really like and appreciate the populist left. And you can see right now, not right now, more than ever since I started this channel, how based the populist left is. Now, some go too far for me, but when you look at where they are compared to even MAGA, even libertarians, and to be honest, I haven't dug into the libertarian side too much. I'm really more into the left or the right on this. I've interacted with a few libertarians, and the few that I have are kind of cringe, but I'm not there enough to say everybody. I haven't even heard the part of the problem on this, which is, that's my show. I just haven't had a chance to. I'm listening to Nick Fuentes. Yo, on some serious tip, I'm on some serious tip right now. There's no one that I have heard that is even close to covering this as well as Nick Fuentes is. There's not even like, okay, there's Nick and then someone else, or like Nick and then Max Blumenthal. No, it's Nick and then everybody else is, even Max and as great as he is, they're underneath that. You can go to cozy.tv, or I've been following him on Rumble because I'm on Rumble a lot. But I appreciate and it's funny, the populist left, because of Nick's positions on these. I don't agree with Nick on everything, but of course, don't agree with anybody on everything. But the populist left is because Nick has been going in the Twitter spaces. I guess whatever is going on, Elon, because what's happened, if you don't know, Nick Fuentes has always been kicked off of X, Twitter back in the day. But what he would do was create a burner account. The burner account would get, I don't know how they do it. He tries to spoof it or whatever, and they would always find him. And then he would get 20,000 followers in like a minute, and then he'll get nuked off. But it seems like, I don't know what's happening. I followed his burner account, but I haven't followed it closely enough. It seems like he's been able to go back on X. He's been in Twitter spaces just spitting bars. Really, he's a high school debate geek, very knowledgeable, and people on the left have been hearing his take on what's happening in Israel, and they've been like, damn. They kind of been following him more now. They realize he's not the monster that they portrayed him to be. It's funny, if you were to call somebody like him a monster, well, then what would you call these people who are advocating for outright murder and death, just as if it's no big deal? Would you call them monsters? If that's not harsh enough, not nearly harsh enough. For those who have donated to the channel, I greatly appreciate you. I'm really focused on trying to get my content better and doing stuff like that. Where can we hear Nick? Okay, if I'm going to shout out Nick, let me just do the full shout out. I'm going to do a full shout out, including link for this bruh. Just excellent work by this young man. I can't speak highly enough. And he's not going to be for everyone. There's not going to be, you might not like him on every topic. On this topic, though, on the Middle East, this dude's very, very on point. And then the populist left. I will say Revolutionary Black Network. They've been excellent. Let me share my screen here and then do the quick shout out. And I have not donated to Nick. But what I can do right now for Nick, because I'd rather donate to Broken Traditions or somebody like that, or Ray Studios. But what I can do is, share the link. Here's Nick he's doing daily updates now. This is such a big deal. He's doing like nightly daily updates. And here's a link to him on Rumble. I think he's cool with the Rumble, if you follow him on Rumble. Let me know what you think if you go follow him. I highly recommend, specifically on this topic. He's not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. I think what I'm going to do, if I have smut, because I do have smut on this channel a lot, I'll keep it to the end of And it's good. The smut will be like a light. I want to end it, if I can, on a lighter note. So we'll end it with, some titties and ass or something like that. That will be the end of the programming going forward. But let's take a look and see if you do donate to the channel, the type of things that I'm trying to do. I do subscribe. I've been trying to figure out, I don't have a good note system. And I've been using ChatGPT. It's terrible for the notes. It's actually really bad. It's good for writing stuff. I can use it for how I use it. I can use it, but I can't use it to house my notes and stuff. So I've been using this Mila note. And I actually found out about this from someone on the populist left who I follow on Twitter. Appreciate you. And I've been using it now. I'm thinking I'm getting better at it. And if you won't be able to see everything in here, but I got a bunch of tweets. Most of it's Twitter, but links to articles and stuff too. This is like the conspiracy whiteboard right here. I want to do like the homie the lawyer. God damn it. I'm so mad. It's late at night. Give me a break. I'll get the name. The lawyer has the mind map. You might even know just because I say the mind map. What's his name? I always mess up his name. It's not hard to say, but he has the mind map. And I tried the mind map. I like mind maps, but I couldn't do them easy. This is cool because I can just switch. I can just move this stuff around. It's a mess right now, but I'll get better. But I'm subscribing to this and then ChatGPT, other stuff, and we'll see if it pays off. I'm just trying to get better. Lake Rat, I was about to tell you what a class act you are. Then you said, well, titties. There I go. Always messing it up, man. I'm just a mess up, man. I really am. So here we are on the live. We're about to get started into the conversation, and Lake Rat just posted a comment, and Lake Rat was just about to say, like, dang, I like this channel. This dude, he's a class act. He's like, man, this dude, he's an upstanding, honest class act. And right before you hit enter, I say, I'm going to save the smut for last, the titties and ass. And Lake Rat's like, that's what I get. Nick Fuentes actually had a dope take. I don't know why my lights, maybe I'm not going up close enough. Nick Fuentes had a dope take last night where he said, the more you get to know someone, the less you like them. So Lake Rat's like, I liked you before I got to know you. And I don't blame you, man. I just got to have fun with this stuff. And even if it's in the smut, in the gutter, I'm a sinner. What can I say? But when looking at the topics for today, starting off with what I think is one of the better tweets I've seen in quite some time. I think this is just an absolutely amazing tweet here. And this is from the populist left. I call them the populist left. They don't call themselves the populist left. I do. But Nick is not sensitive to that. But I have heard that feedback from them. So I want to acknowledge that, or not him, but people on that side. And this is Nick from Revolutionary Blackout Network. They were formed. I knew them as Fred Hampton. They used to be called the Fred Hampton Leftists back in the day. That's how I still remember them. But RBN's a great network with a bunch of. I've talked about them recently on the channel. And here's the post on X. We are witnessing a historic mass genocidal psychosis of the West right now. They want Russians dead, Chinese people dead, Iranians dead, North Koreans dead, Venezuelans dead. They are actively cheering for a genocide of Palestinian people. Facts be damned, history be damned, international law be damned. Scary times. And you might have some, and I might have some maybe subtle disagreements, but the essence of the take, and I don't even know if I have subtle disagreements, so let me just strike that from the record. The essence of the post is outstanding. And you can see it. It got 500,000 views. And I believe he has about 100,000 followers. Yeah. And so that's a good ratio there. And I think it's because it is resonating. That take is the convergence of populism from the libertarians, from the right, from the left. What's happening is you have this Ukraine war, you have this Israeli Hamas war, and the people who don't agree with either one of them would probably be fine with this post, even if you don't agree completely. And they're all kind of funneling to it. And I said, it's a beautiful thing to see. Love to see this. No race in this. You know, he's talking about the genocide of Palestinian people. People might not totally agree with that, but he's not bringing this up from a black or brown stuff. They will do that. That's fine. But in this post, he did not. And I want to tell that young man how highly I think of him and the other young men and women in that group. They'll never change. I'm not trying to make them change, but I'm just going to say, if you had put race in that tweet, there's no way that it would have converged. And then maybe that's not your goal, but I'm just observing. If you had put race in there, there ain't no way it would have 500,000 views. None. 0% chance. So you keep it on that tip, and then everybody can kind of funnel in. You start putting up the race stuff and they don't do the LGBTQ, but just in general, you put up an LGBTQ or whatever else identity, and then it's like, okay, I don't have time for this. It's an excellent take. We're all getting played. That's the take of what's happening here. We're all getting played for suckers. That's Palestinians. Let's just focus on these three groups for now. Palestinians, Americans, and Israelis, all getting played for fools, for suckers. Out in the open. Easy to understand, easy to recognize, easy to see. And that's why things are getting crazier in our world, because it's harder to hide this stuff. So if you look at some of the aftermath, and that's what I'm going to do right now, is take a look at some of the aftermath. Just a tweet here from Jesse Kelly, and he got it from somebody else, but I saw it from Jesse Kelly. And I'm not expressing any disagreement with Jesse Kelly here. I'm just going to show the video and then show my take of it. This is some of the destruction that we are seeing in Gaza. I mean, what I'm showing here are buildings that are still smoking from the rubble of destruction of, I don't know what kind of weapons or whatever, obviously bombs, missiles, rockets. This is the aftermath. So you have the tragedy of the initial attack, where they come in with the paratroopers, and we're seeing it on the videos, and it's just absolutely disgusting to see. It's very, very disturbing and disgusting to see people come in and do that to civilians. So then now we see this in return, this type of destruction, and it reminds me of 9/11. That's the number one thing it reminds me of. 3,000 people died. About 2,900 people died. And in return, the United States killed, reportedly, this is a conservative estimate, not including like residual aftermath, 400,000, over 400,000, just keeping it on citizens. So 3,000 dead, tragedy, terrible. Americans. Then turns around 400,000 dead, Iraqi and Afghanistan. That's just, I believe that's just Iraq and Afghanistan. 400,000 dead, the exact same type of reaction and rubble. Benjamin Netanyahu posts on X. How important is this platform? We've got one of the craziest wars we've seen in a minute popping off, And where do we see information? Straight from the Prime Minister of Israel on X. Here's what the Prime Minister of Israel posted on X. We started, Israel will win. And this, I don't know how exact that is, translated from Hebrew. So basically saying Israel will win. And showing Israel bombing what effectively is a ghetto. It's bombing a ghetto. This is Gaza posting it on X, preening like a peacock. For what we don't know if people were there, were they evacuated? I don't know. Potential death and destruction of citizens that had nothing to do with the initial tragedy. 3,000 people dead from the Twin Towers, 400,000 citizens that had nothing to do with it, unlived by the American government. And what's Israel doing? You support that? You think that's the right thing to do? That's a monstrous thing to do. And you want to know how you can tell you're manipulated? Mr. Netanyahu, what happened? What was the security failure? Oh, no, we won't talk. We can't get to that yet. Well, why don't we figure that out before you start bombing? How about that? Because I don't know if I want you to be the one. Even if I'm okay with bombing, maybe you shouldn't be the one to do the bombing. Maybe we should get somebody else up in there. I need that answered first. There ain't no secrets. I need that answered. That's what I would recommend. Mr. Netanyahu, why don't your citizens have the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms? How about we talk about that first? Before you start bombing, let's talk about that. Empowering your own citizens. We're supposed to be allies, right? Have you not seen our Bill of Rights, or are you not aware of that? Does that not fit your culture? I don't know. Answer that for me. You have people running up, videos reportedly, running up into innocent people's homes. Not that the right to keep and bear arms will protect you. That's not. It will give you a chance to do something potentially. Give you a better chance. It's a probability game is what we're playing here. Game of life. So it's not playing a game, but that's the probability of life or death. Would you rather have it or not? Let's talk about that. What's the report here? You're posting this on X. What happened here? What am I looking at? You posted this on X. So I think it's a fair question for me to ask you, right, Mr. Netanyahu? What did this accomplish? Give me a full report. Who got killed? How many innocents? You think that there was any Hamas in there Hamas, militants or terrorists in there that got killed? I have no idea. I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on one in there. These niggas came out of the sky with sandals on and you couldn't find them. And you think I'm going to think that you found them in there? And then that your bombs in there are going to stop the ideology? It looks like you're trying to cover up for yourself. So I'm going to call you a monster. How about that? You think I stand for that? What does that even mean, I stand with Israel? Define that for me. I know what I don't stand for. I don't stand for that. That's foolishness. That's evil. Kim Iverson had an amazing take. So I did an analogy. I will admit it was a poor analogy. I still stand by the analogy, but if you have to explain your analogy, then obviously it was a poor analogy. I will not mince words about that. But Kim Iverson had an analogy about this. I'm going to get to Hamas in a second. How do you even pronounce this? Hamas in a second. Because they're playing their people too. So I can't wait to talk about them. And the populist left, as good as they are on this topic, I don't understand why they don't talk about Hamas in this way that I'm about to bring up. Maybe they do, and I just haven't heard it. It's problematic for me that they don't do that. So I guess I'm politically homeless on the island. But here's the post from Kim Iverson. So I did an analogy, and I said, what Israel is doing is like if you had a couple Hornets come in your house and then they ran away, and you took a flamethrower and you ran up in your neighbor's house and you started and people are like, what are you doing? And you're like, I'm looking for a couple of Hornets. Now, that was not meant to be a commentary on rape and what the horror was of the paratroopers coming through on this, this parade or rave or whatever. They're just dancing and having fun. What I meant to do was say that it's just a small thing. You're looking at a small, like, look at I showed you the footage there, how big, if you look at that bird's eye view, are Hamas members. Couldn't even see them from that point. They're very small. They're like ants. So that was my point, is like, you've got ants and you've got a machine gun, and maybe some ants crawled out of your crib and went over to your neighbor's house, and you took a machine gun and go, gag, 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 and your neighbor's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I'm trying to get the ants. Like, are you crazy? You're going to kill somebody. And people are actively supporting this. You have lost your mind. But that's a bad analogy, because obviously disingenuous people who don't agree, I leave room for them to say, oh, you think rapists or murderous and all this other stuff are Hornets. I wasn't making a commentary on that, but okay, bad analogy. Kim Iverson has a better one. This is not a real story. She's using this as an allegory. The FBI just let off explosives in an entire apartment building filled with women and children in downtown LA while on a manhunt for a serial killer. Apparently, the killer was hiding out in his grandmother's unit. Reports are at least 30 to 50 people were likely killed. Let me stop so people understand. This is a fake story to make a point. The FBI just let off explosives in an entire apartment building filled with innocent women and children in downtown LA while on a manhunt. So you see hers is better because she's using a killer. If I would have thought, I've been like, so I can stop the disingenuous stuff, it's a killer. So you see, I'm making it a serial killer, rapist, whatever. They're looking for a serial killer, rapist. They run up in an apartment and they just blow the whole apartment up. And I think we got them. But what happened? 30 or 50 people that were innocent got killed. You'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's the natural reaction, right? As bad as the initial crime was. That's why they stopped saying you can, in certain areas, I think in LA, where you can't do the police chases at a certain speed anymore. Because you're trying to chase a dude and then someone's crossing the street or just in the highway, couldn't get over in time, and you're crashing in them, and now an innocent person is dead. You would say, what the F is wrong with the FBI? There's no difference here. It's just at a bigger scale. Granted, the serial killer is dead. Let's see, we don't even know who's dead. Who's dead on those strikes that Benjamin Netanyahu put on X? Who's dead on that? Who died? How do we know it's not hundreds of innocent citizens and not one member of Hamas? I would have no idea. Who would tell me? The same people who would have the motivation to lie to me. The same people who say, if I don't stand with them, I'm a terrorist. I'm not trusting them. 30, 50 innocent people in the process dead. They issued a statement saying it's not their fault 50 people are dead. The serial killer should have been more concerned about where he was hiding out. Kim Iverson's one of the best. That's the problem with the Israeli side. And then, do I have the answers? Well, I can kind of brainstorm and think through. But first, if you're wondering if I have the answers for the Middle East, like, what the hell? I mean, you're going to have to go to God for those answers. The answers for the Middle East. Before we get into the solution part, which I'm fine to talk about, first acknowledge this right here. If you're not acknowledging this, then, or giving me the retort, I'm only married to the best idea. Give me a better idea. Give me a better analogy than this. If you can't, I don't care to talk to you about any solution because you're disingenuous. You haven't even got past level 1. If you do, then we can talk about, I don't know. I don't have any answers. I can talk through things from a very basic, ignorant standpoint, but Nobody has magic answers to what some people are looking at as a holy war, including Lindsey Graham, believe it or not. That's the kind of the Israel side of it. I got a problem with the Hamas side of it too. There's video footage here. Aren't these bombs beautiful? Isn't that what what's his name said? Was it Brian Williams? He thought Trump was presidential when he dropped bombs. I believe it was Syria. Wasn't that Syria when Syria popped off? So what we're seeing here is the Iron Dome intercepting. These are missiles coming from Hamas. I don't know where they're launched from, if it's in the Gaza Strip or I don't know where they're being launched from. But that's what it's reportedly doing. And even if that video is inaccurate, I'm just using it to talk about the larger point. We know that they have been launching missiles for a fact. Well, reported, solid reporting on that. So Hamas is supposed to be representing the Palestinian people. How much money do those missiles cost? How much money are they blowing right there with the Iron Dome now operational, that missiles aren't going anywhere? Not that I want them to go anywhere, but it's even, forget about whether they're going somewhere or not. How much do those missiles cost? While their people live in a ghetto, you're being played. And I don't want to catch Rashida Tlaib and ask her about, do you condemn the atrocities that she never supported or never even hinted that she supported? I want to ask her about this. There's money for bombs coming from Palestine. Why are the people so poor? This is millions of dollars right here, I'm guessing. And you're the socialist, so wouldn't you say that all those bombs should be divvied up to the people? You're being played. It's no different than the gangs in the urban areas. You have Iran and these, I want to disrespectfully call them Iran. I believe that's what they didn't want. They remember I played that clip of the soccer player that was over there and he accidentally said Iran or something like that. And then Iran reporter kind of was a little snippy with him about it. Wasn't real graceful with correcting the pronunciation. And I was like, bitch, I'll call your country whatever I want to call your country. We're not boys. Talk to me the right way. Have any respect for your country. I don't have any respect for Israel. I don't have any respect for Iran, Jordan. What the hell respect do I have for these countries over here? What respect have they ever shown me? Or would have ever shown me? Their culture is not even compatible with mine. I don't have any beef with you, but you're going to have to talk to me the right way, though. Iran. So these countries, these evil, these people are up in a palace, no different than Joe Biden, no different than Netanyahu, no different than Zelensky, no different than Putin. They're up in a palace somewhere, laughing at your ass, Palestinians. They love this stuff. All it does is breed more. So they see Palestinians, see other Palestinians dying, and what they see is a pipeline, like they're in sales. When you're in sales, and it doesn't matter what sales you're in, you have a pipeline, whether it's real estate or whatever else it is, and you keep working your pipeline, and that's how you get your income. So they're like, these bombs flying? Yeah, let's have a couple more young Palestinian boys get seared like steaks on a grill and then get upset. And then we come through, find the ones that are dumb enough but good enough to fight, throw them a little bit of money, tell them if they die, they're going to get to F a bunch of virgins in heaven, manipulating low IQ citizens, poor low IQ, just like the gangs do. You go stand up on that corner, you sell that product. If you get caught, though, you don't be a rat. In this case, now they're calling for a jihad day on Friday. So I'll get to that. But so Iran comes through and they find the vulnerable men of the society, give them a little bit of status. You're Hamas now. You're fighting for your people. And they give them money for the weapons. Who's funding this? They don't have any money over there. They hold an election in 2006. They haven't held an election for Hamas since then. Excuse after excuse after excuse. You go look it up. Haven't held an election. Why? Because they wouldn't win. Obviously, if you think you're going to win an election, or if you rig an election, like what's happening in the United States of America, then you just go ahead and have the election, because then it looks like you got power from the people. They don't even do that. So you don't even have a word in this. They're taking money from God knows who, pretending to fight for you, Hamas, Palestinians, and wasting this money while they're up in a palace laughing at your ass, and then calling for a jihad on Friday. Nigga, you first. You strap on a vest first. I calling for you to go do what? Sacrifice myself? Nigga, what you doing? These heads of these Muslim radical type areas. You want me to do what? Bro, let me see you do it first. No different than the climate change, no different than Nikki Haley. Finish him. This bitch sound like the Mortal Kombat announcer. Bitch, you first. You want to finish somebody? Go get a gun. Go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. And the same thing that they do, John McCain did, Eye Patch McCain does, trying to trip reporters, what Lindsey Graham does, what Zelensky does. Zelensky can get his 5'2" cocaine head ass and get up in the front of the line if you want to fight. And I will have some respect if he were to do that. You know, back in the day, when they had wars back in the day, life has always been savage. When they had wars back in the day, Napoleon was down there on the ground. Now, he might not have been in the front lines, but that nigga was in danger. They got that movie coming out. I really want to see it. But they should have done a French dub. Let me not digress. But if you did that, maybe I'd see something. Maybe I'd respect that part of it at least. I still wouldn't be down with it. But they up there in their palace. Remember Afghanistan? We saw when Afghanistan fell, we saw Afghani officials that aligned with the American government running away with suitcases of your and my cash. We've seen it in Ukraine, your and my cash. Security officials in Ukraine rolling in all kinds of high-priced vehicles. Where? Allegedly, with your and my cash. Rand Paul gets up and says, okay, we can do the money to Ukraine. I just want to figure out where it's going. They say no. So for Hamas and where they're getting that money, Palestinians, can you ask them where they got that money? They probably be like, you asking too many questions, and throw you in the trash somewhere. So where's the populist left on that? That's the question I want to ask the populist left. We're all getting played. So they're playing a big game of Risk, and we're the pawns. I'm going to go to this. I didn't like this take on the Rashida Tlaib. It really bothered me, the take that people had on this. And I've got to get my FBI whiteboard organized, because I don't know where the hell the take is on here. So, yeah, this is embarrassing. I don't even know if I have it. I'll have to do a search or something. I got too many tweets up in here. I don't even know if I saved that, because that was from a couple days ago. So I'm going to get it right. I bit off too much. I got too much in there right now. But so I'm going to have to go. I put everything on my FBI board, and then now I got to go search it. But here's where it is. I can find it easily because I can search her last name. I don't have many tweets with the Tlaib in it. So here's the Tlaib take. I don't think I've gotten a chance to do this. I really want to get this off my chest. Didn't like this take at all from a lot of people. So Hillary Vaughn, who I don't know who that is a reporter, ran up on, which I fully support, running up peacefully up on these politicians and asking questions. But Hillary, this was not a good question. Hillary says, watch. I asked Representative Rashida Tlaib about Hamas terrorists chopping off babies' heads, children being burned alive, and women being raped. She had nothing to say. I had no problem with her having nothing to say. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Let me get this potted up here. I have no problem with what she had to say. Or didn't.
Terrorists have cut off babies' heads and burned children alive. Do you support Israel's rights to defend themselves against this brutality?
We're just going to go through here.
You can't comment about Hamas terrorists chopping off babies' heads? Congresswoman, do you have a comment on Hamas terrorists chopping off babies' heads? You have nothing to say about Hamas terrorists chopping off babies' heads? Do you condone what Hamas has done, chopping off babies' heads, burning children alive, raping women in the street? You have no comment about children's heads being chopped off? Congressman, why do you have the Palestinian flag outside your office if you do not condone what Hamas terrorists have done to Israel? Do Israeli lives not matter to you?
I think pretty much all of those questions were just complete garbage. Complete trash, complete garbage. The same exact thing they do to Donald Trump. What did they do to Donald Trump? Hey, Donald Trump, do you condemn Nick Fuentes? He didn't even know who Nick Fuentes was. Why would he need to condemn Nick Fuentes? He's never condoned Nick Fuentes. Now, for me, I just gave the recommendation of Nick Fuentes, and maybe you go on there, you hear some crazy stuff. That would be fair to come to me and say, well, do you condone this stuff? And for Nick is no different than anybody else. If I disagree, I'll say I disagree or I don't understand. I compartmentalize this stuff. I can agree with Rashida Tlaib as radical, I don't even want to call her radical, as whack as she is to me, a fake populist. I can agree. There's a quote I might get to with AOC, a clip where I think I agree with her on. But they go to Donald Trump and they say, Donald Trump, why don't you condemn the KKK? Bitch, he never endorsed the KKK. What are you talking about? That's the same thing they're doing to Rashida Tlaib. So if you want to ask Rashida Tlaib these questions, this ain't the way to do it. This is bullshit. This is disingenuous. So she walks up to her and she says, Hamas terrorists have cut off babies and burned children alive. Do you support Israel's right to defend themselves against this brutality? Did she ever say she didn't? What kind of question is that? What you would look at is what actions has she done to make you think she wouldn't have supported Israel's right to defend? I've never questioned Israel's right to defend themselves. They have the right to. I'm not God. I can't stop them from bombing America or their own ghetto right there on the bank on the Gaza Strip. And there's probably going to be fighting popping off on the West Bank too. If it hasn't already, I haven't seen that. So it's not even what do you mean by right? What does that mean? Like what? You think I can stop them? I don't understand. They got to do what they got to do. I'm worried about America. But she doesn't have to answer that question. She can if she wants, but she doesn't have to answer that question. I'm not answering that. That's disingenuous. This reporter obviously ran up on her to try to make her look bad. So my recommendation to Hillary, or I don't even know if it's a recommendation, I would look at the action. So maybe there is something that she's done that I haven't seen that would make you wonder that she was questioning. So look at that specific action. What was it? And say, hey, you said this. What does it mean? Does it mean this? Now you've tied it into a specific act. You just ran up on her and said, you run up on me and said, do you support Israel's right? Support Israel's right? What does that even mean? Support their right. I don't agree with bombing a ghetto in a show of strength. If I would say if Israel was really about that life, they would be bombing or threatening the people who funded the bombs, because obviously it wasn't the people in the ghetto. Who funded if your surveillance and your defense and your espionage stuff is so on point, you should know where the money came from for those weapons. So my question would be more like, where did the money come for those weapons? So you should know, Israel, and you should go holler at that person, right? Because if you say you carpet bomb the whole Gaza, and the whole Gaza is, and that's what they're basically doing, the whole Gaza is just a parking lot. Now what? The people who funded the missiles are still in the palace somewhere. You build up the parking lot or you take away the parking lot. The people in the palace have more money, and they're making money off of oil or whatever else, and they're just going to get another 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 22-year-old to strap on a whatever and do whatever else. The problem is not solved, obviously. You could wipe off the whole Gaza Strip and the problem's still there, obviously, because whoever has the money wasn't in the Strip. So that's where I would go. And then she goes on to this. This is the most disingenuous question of possible. Do you condone what Hamas? So here's the question. Do you condone what Hamas has done, chopping off babies' heads, burning children alive, raping women in the street? What the hell kind of question is that? What has Rashida Tlaib done to make you think she condones any of that? It's a bullshit, disingenuous question meant to try to make her look bad. And I wouldn't answer it to either. Or it would be combative. That is a combative situation, not physically. I'm talking about verbally combative situation for someone to try to come up, run up on me. Do you condone? It'd be like me running up on somebody at a random representative, running up on them. Do you control? 8 people died in Chicago this last weekend on gang violence. I think it actually was at least a couple weekends ago. Saw this person with this modified Glock automatic going spraying, and 8 people died, I believe. Do you condone the 8 people that died on the streets of Chicago? You'd be like, what the hell? What are you talking about? Who condoned it? What are you talking about? Who? Do you denounce it? Do you condone? What kind of question is that? What if I just went in the chat and said, Daniel Castro, do you condone babies' heads being burned? And you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Who's this dude? It's the same thing they do to people who, they ran up on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do you denounce Nick Fuentes? She never endorsed Nick Fuentes. Now, she went to go speak at FPAC, so what? That's not, if Nicole Hannah-Jones wanted me to speak at one of her events, I'd go speak at one of her events. I'm not a speaker, I'm just saying hypothetically. I'd go speak at one of her events. It doesn't mean I endorse Nicole Hannah-Jones. If you have a question on the content of what I said, let's go ahead and talk about it. But if you want to talk about, I'm not denouncing somebody I've never endorsed. I've endorsed Carrie Lake. So if something pops off with her and you come to me and you say, do you denounce that? Fair question. I'll talk to you because I fully, clearly endorse. I endorse Matt Gaetz and a lot of these other ones. So stop playing games with this kind of stuff, man. I'm not feeling this. Get right. Using the far left, Taco, friend of the show, says using the far left tactics against them doesn't work. Joe Farmer, I haven't seen Joe in a minute. Wow, everybody coming out the woodworks. Isn't Joe, you've been in the chat months ago, if I'm not mistaken. I appreciate you coming by on a late night, midnight in 12:30 in Mountain Time, 2:30 Eastern AM. Joe Farmer says, I don't like bombing, but I don't want Iran developing nukes. And that's a different topic. And here's my thing with that. Nukes are the 2A of government. And I'm not sold that nukes are necessarily a bad thing. And I know that might sound crazy, but when you think about it from a 2A standpoint, are guns a bad thing? No. I want guns everywhere. Why? Because it checks people. You ain't running up on people if you think they have guns. They would not, those Hamas members would not have been able to run up on civilians' homes because you've got homes scattered all over the place. Niggas running up into homes. Somebody could be in another window peeping out and saying, okay, let me go get my thing real quick. And while they run up another hut, cat, and you just know where you can't run up in America like that. So threats that's going to happen in America, there's going to have to be sneak type stuff. They're going to look for non-gun zones. Trust that. Airplane, 9/11, no guns. They're going to look for non-gun zones. So that's the same thing with nukes. I'm not necessarily, I mean, it sounds crazy because it could lead to our destruction because this is a big level, big stage thing. But if, for example, if Ukraine had nukes, Russia wouldn't be running up in there right now. They couldn't. They'd be firing off nukes. So because we know Russia's got nukes. If Ukraine had nukes, then that would be done. That's the stalemate. That's probably the only reason you're not seeing direct Russia-America conflict. We both got nukes and about the same amount. I mean, I think Russia even got more. So you're not going to see beef pop off, just like 2A. You've seen a lot of nonsense popping off in Portland and places like that. You don't see that same stuff in Texas. That stuff will go. That don't happen in Texas. Not like that. Not like you see in Oregon and California. They in the streets. What about the stupid the Proud Boys with paint? You see them with paint pellets and stuff like that. That stuff don't happen. That stuff doesn't happen in Florida. Why is that? Because it ain't paint pellets. And that's the same way with nukes. I don't know. I have to. As of right now, I'm fine with the nukes, to be honest with you. I think that keeps it straight. If that ghetto in Gaza had nukes, none of this would be popping off like that. They wouldn't be rolling up in Israel. Israel wouldn't be rolling up on them if they both had nukes. I guarantee you that. So now Israel is thinking about, potentially about using whatever weapons they're going to use that haven't been used very often in war. But the ghetto doesn't have that, so they're at that mercy. I think if you have people ask me, well, what if the cartels or somebody came up in the U.S. and did the same type of thing that Hamas did to Israel? My number one thing is I first need to know you have to be. I'm not approving. Obviously, I don't have the ability to stop anything. We're just doing a philosophical discussion. Eric Smith, long time. No, wait, what? Everybody coming out? Let's go. Getting me hyped late at night. Everybody coming out. The Woodworks. Eric Smith, what's up? That's the homie, man. Long time friend of show. I was interested to hear what your take is. It's hard for me to read the chat, or maybe I'll take some time and play some music and read the chat a little bit to absorb. But they asked me what if the cartels came through, did the same thing, with that scenario. Number one, I need to know, how did the cartels come through? Because number one, before you go on your revenge tour, I need to make sure the right person, even if I agree with the revenge tour or not, I need to make sure the right person is in charge. You go back to 9/11, do you agree with George Bush, really Dick Cheney being in charge? I'll wait for your answer. Do you agree with Dick Cheney being in charge of the revenge tour? That's probably where we should have started. No. Before you start doing something, before you start reacting, before they're trying to play with your emotions, they did the same type of thing with Iraq did this, and or whoever did this, and whoa. Where were they? Where did they come from? Did they come from Saudi Arabia, Iraq? Wait, hold up now. We are hurting. 3,000 people died, but I'm gonna need you to slow your roll because I don't know what your role was in it. Was it just incompetence? And there is nothing you're not gonna hide behind national security on this. I can't stop it, but just hypothetically, philosophically, if I had the final say, which we should as people, we did. They voted for it. How'd that work out? They manipulated us. I need a full report on what happened. I don't care how long it takes. And So who knows if the report's true or not? If the report's not believable, then I act like it's not believable. It's just like the election. At the end of the day, either I believe it or it's not. It doesn't matter what really happened. I don't trust you. Give me the report. What happened? When did you know it happened? When did you know they were here? What were the protocols that were taken? How could this happen? I want the whole debrief before we even talk about and what that is if the answer is not good enough, like Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't know their process there, but just say hypothetically it was the same as the US, impeached. Get the hell up out of there. Are you crazy? Did you hear some of the stories of how Iran allegedly helped? These people ran up barefoot, allegedly ran up barefoot in their country. And they got all this high-tech stuff and these companies that contract out with X and all the social media because they're like, we're the best surveillance state companies out there, especially outside of China that you can go to. And we're supposed to be allies. So let's go to the Israeli. We would go to the Chinese, but we're not really, we're frenemies. Oh, we're supposed to be friends with Israel. So a lot of these companies that mine the data, house the data, all that, they kind of go to like X for their real ID. They're using an Israeli company for that. So how did a couple of barefoot dudes with a parachute run up in and then start raping and killing your citizens? Let's talk about that first. So the same situation with the cartel or 9/11. Well, how did that happen first? Oh, we have an open border? Okay. Before we talk about the retaliation, everybody in DC, you're fired. Every single one of you. Get up out of there. Then we can talk about how to proceed, because obviously all of you are the wrong ones. That's where you start. So that's my answer for that. That's the first thing to do. Then I'm not going to do that now, but we can go down the dominoes of if hypothetically you fired everybody in DC. You'd have potentially a much better path. That's what should have happened with the pandemic. The pandemic failed. We should have had a full debrief on what happened. That's why I'm not with Trump. I'm not against Trump, but that's why I'm not voting for Trump. There is 0% chance of that. I've kind of been going back and forth. It's zero. It's done. Why? Big part pandemic, debate, all that. I'm not reliving it. Daniel Castro says, let's talk about how RFK is going to split the Democrats, almost assuring a Republican candidate win. I don't know about that yet. That's up in the. I think I agree with you, Daniel, if I had to say something right now, but we don't know for sure. Even when they poll it, we don't know, because I don't know if we've ever had a situation like this ever in polling with a name that big that's independent. Everybody, old people, young people, know the Kennedy name. It's almost like a Kardashian. So I think he's going to take some from Trump, but is he going to take more from the Dems? I would agree with you, Danielle, but we don't know. I mean, we're in gray area here. There's no way to know until the election. Don't believe the polls are just weapons. I would not believe the polls. I wouldn't blanketly Joe Farmer, Dick Cheney, hold my beer. Maybe that's how we end up with 400,000 conservative estimate Iraqi and Afghanis killed. They have extrapolated that up to over 3.5 million when you look at the residuals of, no water, no stuff. They're just like, same thing. Cut off the water, cut off the supplies, because within those thousands and millions of people, there's a couple Hamas, we think. So we cut off the water to all of them, the babies. We talking about babies with their heads chopped off. We unlived damn near 4 million people in response to the Iraq and the 9/11. And you want to talk about 40 babies with their heads cut off? As if we're like holier than thou? What am I missing? Yeah, that's disgusting. Is 4 million people dead disgusting too? Like what's the ratio to a baby with the head cut off to just other citizens? Is it 1 to 10, or like what's the ratio? What's the acceptable ratio? I think 4 million has it covered. Does 400,000? Let's say it's only 400,000. Forget about the extrapolation. 40 babies. I'm just trying to do the math. How do we do this? Remember, Jonathan Greenblatt was on NBC and compared the tragedy of the paratroopers and other areas, the Hamas coming in, kidnapping, rape, murder, all that stuff, and compared it to Nagasaki. 40,000 dead. What's the ratio, Jonathan? How do you do that math? Is there a calculator I can go to, or is there like a booklet that I can go to that one Israeli really equals 100 of any other person? If you're just a random nigga, maybe it's like 1,000. One Israeli is about 10,000 niggas, right? Is that sound about right? Get the fuck out of here trying to compare tragedies of, well, it's worse than Nagasaki. What is going on? He literally said that. And everybody's silent because you can't test it. Because the moment you test it, your job's done. Boom, you're done. Imagine if Joe Scarborough would have said, are you really comparing one Israeli dead to like Japan back in the day? Is that what you're really doing? They would have been like, the next day they would have been like, we have sad news. Joe Scarborough's not feeling well. I think it's COVID. And then after a couple of weeks, they'd be like, he's really not feeling well, and he no longer wants to do his show anymore. I think he's He's accomplished a lot. We thank Joe Scarborough for his services. He'd be like, damn, I remember when Joe Scarborough was on TV. What happened? Yeah, he questioned Jonathan Greenblatt and by proxy Israel. And yeah, that's a wrap. Yeah, bye-bye. So they all sit there looking at him. He's saying just the most craziest stuff possible on TV. And everybody's sitting there like, what do you want me to say? They're like, I like my job. I like my paycheck. That's a hell of a thing to go from making hundreds of thousands per year, maybe, I don't know how much they make, millions or whatever your income is, to not only getting zero income, but to never being back in the business again. And then now you on YouTube getting deranked like some dude in his basement. That's a hard fall monetarily. You're going to have some hell of a principles to go from that to that. It's easy for me to say, but I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't hold my tongue. They would have called security. If I was on the set and Jonathan Greenblatt was said, hey, we had these hundreds of Israelis. It was a horrible tragedy. Yeah, of course, prayers, thoughts and prayers, no doubt. And then he said, but we can't compare it to 9/11. But wait, 3,000 people died in 9/11. We can't compare it? Well, why not? In my head, I'm going, okay. And then he goes on to say, it's worse than Nagasaki. Then I'd be like, okay, bro, you going too far. They would have been like, cut. And then they went at security came in like, get that nigga right there. He's questioning Jonathan Greenblatt. Get that nigga. He right over there. And then everybody on set would have been like, I don't know that nigga. Go ahead, take him up out of here. I couldn't hold my tongue. I'd be like, damn, I would have told my wife, I couldn't do, I just couldn't do it. I'm going to the gulag, whatever. I'll be in there with Stephen Ignoramus. I'll be beatboxing. Hopefully we'll have a guitar or something. We'll do a remake of Oliver Anthony. We do we'd be making jokes in the gulag. Oh man, it'd be a quick fall. It'd be that quick though. Yeah, and if you're lucky, it'd probably be like, oh, tragedy the next day. They'd be like, Joe Scarborough, he went to go visit his friend Hillary Clinton and he tripped off of a paddleboard and that was that. Rest in peace. And then they'd be doing the tribute and everything. I'd be like, wait, what? He tripped off a paddleboard and the pond was deep. It was like 3 feet deep. And you'd be like, wait, what? It's like an indirect way of saying that don't do that, you get offed. Joe Scarborough, he's like 6'4". The pond was 3 feet deep. Like, now how did that happen? Like, don't ask questions. Oh, where is Hillary and them? Oh, they were in the guest house. and everybody understands, don't question it. That's the moment you understand. Don't ask questions. That's a hypothetical. That story had nothing to do with any real stories. A complete hypothetical. What's going on with Dan Crenshaw? This bro had got anger problems. You need to get some help, bro. And I'm saying on that some serious tip. Laura Loomer, a lot of people were talking about this, but I like Laura Loomer. And we're on the opposite side of the Israel stuff. I have no beef with her. That's not about beef to have beef with populists like that. I'm just letting you know where I think she articulates herself, and we can move on. Wow. Dan Crenshaw physically assaulted Noel Fritsch, a right-wing reporter. I don't know what that means. Laura's calling him that. I don't like that term. Right-wing reporter from National File today. Crenshaw is so unhinged. He has serious anger management issues. Remember when his knuckles were bloody during the speaker vote? Remember that? This bro needs help, man. This bro is a danger. This bro is, something's off about him. Like, he's eye patch Kinzinger. He's eye patch McCain. He's eye patch Mitt Romney. He's a lot of eye patch. He's eye patch McConnell. He's eye patch Graham. This dude, do you remember that? So many things happen, and you're like, did that really happen? Did he really have bloody knuckles? Are you serious? Yeah, that really happened. He had bloody knuckles when he showed up to that. I forgot what it was. Let me show this here, and I'll come back to it. Because since we're talking about the bloody knuckles, let me bring it up. I'll show the trip in a second. I'm burying the lead, but you might have seen it already. Laura Loomer says, this is from, this is older than January. I forgot when it happened, but Dan Crenshaw, how come you think it's acceptable to get drunk on the floor of the House? Allegedly. This was during the speaker vote, so it was January. Oh my gosh, it feels like 3 years ago. Oh my goodness. That feels like 10 years ago. Different country. That was 2023, much less 2019. Dan Crenshaw, how come you think it's acceptable to get drunk? Allegedly. On the floor of the House, punch walls on the floor of the House till your knuckles bleed, and then skip the rules package vote. If you are an alcoholic with wartime mental distress, which is serious, he could have PTSD, or I don't know. Allegedly, hypothetically, please resign and get help. Here he is right here. He's showing him off like a badge of honor. Bro, something's not right with you. You're on Twitter arguing with Catturd, which is great. I subscribe to Cat. Not only follow, I also subscribe to Cat. Catturd is amazing. I love the marketing. Funny, great, streams on Rumble. No beef with Catturd. Catturd even made fun of it. Remember, Tucker did the segment on it. Dan Crenshaw has an eye patch on, bloody knuckles, and he's arguing with a guy on Twitter named Catturd. He's not fit for office. In Texas, you're going to have to handle that. He's not fit to serve. He's mentally unfit. That's my humble, I'm not making a diagnosis. That's my humble opinion. Because he had messed around and sue somebody, like a random person, like a random YouTuber like myself with, 10 great people in the live, but 10 people in the live, Dan Crenshaw would take great offense, like it was like 1 million people watching him get clowned or something like that. He got his knuckles bloody during the speaker vote in January because he got so angry with people who didn't want to vote for this clown, Kevin McCarthy. I'm not going to cover the speaker stuff today, but we'll get to it. And maybe with a segment tomorrow. I might be able to pump out some segments tomorrow. We'll see. Like some pre-recorded. And decided to punch a table. Crenshaw is nuts. Totally unacceptable behavior from a U.S. congressman. I apologize. If I clip this up, I would put the clip in the beginning. You'd never bury the lead. I learned that from a lot of great people like Tim Pool and even before that. But here is the lead. This is Dan Crenshaw.
Where's going, dude? We don't want it anymore. Oh, assault! I just witnessed it. You got that on camera? Dan Crenshaw just. Where's going, dude. We don't want it anymore.
Dan Crenshaw. So this dude's run up with him with a phone, and it's very obvious. It's on camera, bruh. Something is wrong with you. So I see it. Dan Crenshaw's like, who's this dude with the beer belly running up on me? And I could probably do some stuff to him real quick. You don't get the right to run up on me. You shouldn't be in office, sir, Dan Crenshaw. So look what happens. If you're watching, and I always have to double check. I am showing this. I'm going to show this in the biggest possible screen. I'm putting it in slow motion now. This is like some high school stuff right here. And you'll see right now with his left leg, he clearly sticks it out. Look at how wide that gate is there to try and trip that dude. He didn't even trip him. He kind of made him jump up a little bit, and he's fine. And he tried to play it off. And then he put his head down like nothing happened. Duh, Dad, you wild for that one. You wild for that one. Did he try to do it with the right too? He stepped up with the left? No, okay. I was trying to see if he tried to do it with the right. It's hard to see. But, it's kind of whack, Dan. You didn't even make him fall. Now, when we used to do that in high school, we would do it a little push because it wouldn't make people fall. Now, that would have been wild. So, look, he put his hands are in his pocket. He acted like, well, what me? I was just trying to cross lanes. I was trying to change lanes. Look at his gait. Look how short his steps are. The distance between his steps. Look at that. You can't even see a distance between them. And then all of a sudden, now there's this wide gap here where he's really stretching out. Look at that. Look how wide that is. He should be expelled for that. He should be absolutely expelled for that. He's unhinged. He's out of control. And I'm not one that's calling for expulsion for the squad, or I know a lot of people are. I'm not. Flying the Palestinian flag. That's a fair question. That was a fair question of Rashida Tlaib until she said, "You're flying the Palestinian flag doesn't mean this." Just ask the straight up question: why are you flying the Palestinian flag? That's a legit question. Not why are you flying the Palestinian flag? Does it mean this? Now you're connecting. That doesn't even. It's better than just gaslighting, but flying the Palestinian flag, just make that the question, and then go from there. But so I'm not for expelling them at all, or anybody. But this is very minor assault, but it shows something's wrong. Like, that's not acceptable. He put his head down because you see his head is up, his chin is up. And then after he does the move, he's kind of embarrassed at himself too. But then he puts his head down. So his good eyes try to look back. He's like, oh, I only got one eye. Did I do that? I'm going to be Steve Urkel for Halloween. and then Dan Crenshaw turns left and looks at him. Like, you all right, bro? And then this dude's like, wait a second, I saw that shit. Did y'all see that? Dan Crenshaw's like, okay. These people think that they can get away with anything. He's a warmonger, too. So if he's a warmonger, you try to ask him questions about that war. That's what the question was about. You try to ask him questions about that war, he'll trip you. What's next? What's the escalation after tripping? Now that tripping is acceptable, if nothing's happened to him, we've confirmed tripping is acceptable. What's next? Maybe you can just give him a little touch of like, oh, that's okay. Oops, that was a kind of like a reflex. What's next after the tripping? If this dude with the beer gut would have hypothetically beat his ass, what would have happened? If he would have, I would have had. That's not for me. I'm on peace. But if he had wanted to try to get those problems, because I think that's what Dan wanted. Dan wanted him to get up and have those problems and then say, look these crazy MAGA or whatever. That's what he was trying to do. They would have called insurrection or something like that. These are the same people supporting war, voting for war, and really setting the culture of the country where you can't question them or you put your life at risk. Shoulder checks, Keith Ward, been popping through quite a few lives. Thank you. Appreciate you. Keith Ward says shoulder check is next. Yep. You got it. You got it. Oh, my bad. You all right? Yeah, that's what's next. Just like basketball. You know, if you guard somebody too close and they grab, remember Dikembe Mutombo was notorious for this because he would grab the rebound and people would be smaller than him and they run up in his face and wait for him to foul them. So then what he would do is grab the rebound and he would had pointy elbows. He would try to play it off like I'm just trying to move, but then elbow you in the face. And his elbows were, that's like the dude was like 7 or is 7'2" or something like that. And those are dangerous elbows. Yeah, that's walking down the street. That was another high school thing. You're in the hallways and somebody might just be like, try to walk in like it's crowded in the hallway. Oh, my bad. You all right, bro? That's the next one. So if it's acceptable for Dan Crenshaw to trip a reporter, then it should be. If I don't know where the consequences are. I'll save that for the next segment. I didn't get a chance to follow up. If it's acceptable for Dan Crenshaw to stick his leg out and trip, then your terms are acceptable. Now it's acceptable for a reporter to be like, oops, your bitch ass didn't answer my question. Oops, did you trip? Are you okay? Of course it is. It would have to be. We are not slaves to you. But the country is falling down. So they play by different rules than you. That's what we're seeing. Just as a warning, I don't think I'm in the mood for the smut. So if you're staying for the smut, then it's your time to go. I don't think I'm going to be in the mood for the smut. It's just a mood thing. It was titties, but sorry if you were here for the titties. I'm sorry. That was a hard segue off of the Crenshaw stuff. But if you're here for the Twitter, I just want to make that clear so that we can pull over and watch the live go from 9 to 0. I was here for the titties. That's the whole reason I was here, bro. The titties aren't going to happen today. It just came in my head like I'm not in the mood. Too much going on. Too much I didn't get to cover. I don't think this is racism. Let me listen to it again. I shouldn't have tainted it first. Strike that from the record. I want you to listen to this clip and tell me what you think.
United Nations. I'm the first, if you look at my team, we're pretty much the United Nations. I'm the first Indian woman to ever play at the Power Five. I have kids who are Nigerian and kids who are Dominican and kids who are Mexican.
So this is a Wisconsin women's basketball coach, I believe, talking about her team, and I'll bring it back. Tell me what you think about this.
If you look at my team, we're pretty much the United Nations. I'm the first Indian woman to ever play at the Power Five. I have kids who are Nigerian and kids who are Dominican and kids who are Mexican and kids who are run-of-the-mill white, because they're still there too. So I think it's really important that, and my mom is white, so no one is offended. My mom is a white woman from the Berkshires, very white, okay? If you look at
I took no offense. I'm not going to spend much time on it, other than I think our moral compass is off. I haven't seen. So this is the only clip I've seen of it, and I think there is an aura that you can feel from people, and this is not tangible, but there is a survival piece of everyone where you have an aura, and some people just the being of them rubs you the wrong way. Ibram X. Kendi. His aura rubs me, even if I didn't know who he was, his aura rubs me the wrong way, even if he wasn't talking about critical race theory or anything else. Just his vibe, his presentation, it ain't for me. And I think hers, just in that clip, was all authentic. No, I don't think she had 1 ounce of malice intent here. She seemed to be just trying to say, hey, we got a diverse team, and not even like in a critical race theory diverse way. Maybe she did in the cold, I don't know. But just from this clip, I didn't get that vibe.
If you look at my team, We're pretty much the United Nations. I'm the first Indian woman to ever play at the Power Five. I have kids who are Nigerian and kids who are Dominican and kids who are Mexican and kids who are run-of-the-mill white, because they're still there too. But no, so I think it's really important that, and my mom is white, just so no one is offended. My mom is.
I didn't take any offense to it. You tell me if you did. That's you. You take offense to just. I'm not going to tell anybody to take offense or not. I'm just going to let you know where I'm at with it. Some people called it racism, and I don't have any beef with anybody who did. But I just had a much different vibe from it. I didn't see it as such at all, not even a little bit. And I think our moral compass is off. And that's what happens when you lose trust. We would have never, in the 90s, we would have never thought twice about that comment. Wouldn't have thought twice about it. Wouldn't even have been a thing. Wouldn't have been no concern. And it's okay if you think it, if it's a concern now. But when you lose trust, man, it's done. Because we have so much critical race theory stuff, especially coming from universities. You hear somebody say any type of thing that you think could go sideways. You think it might be something. You go ahead and make it something. I'm going to end on this. I'm going to end with, I'm more in the mood for this. I've had this queued up for a couple shows. Politicians should be treated like domestic animals. And we love our domestic animals. Eric Smith, thank you. $5 sticker, I think, or super chat sticker. And he just drops it just to give a shout out. Appreciate you. Eric Smith says, she does sound a little tokenish there. So I get you. I mean, it's a little awkwardly worded. I just don't think she had any intent. And when she said run-of-the-mill white, I think she just meant it from the standpoint as I'm talking about the diversity or whatever. I don't think she meant it. And that's why, obviously, at the end, she said, well, my mom is white. Very, very white. And even if she hadn't said that part, I didn't get offended by it. But then even that part actually did help, too, because I could see that it was authentic, where she's like, oh, somebody might take this the wrong way. But no, I don't. If you got problems with it, I don't have any. Joe Farmer said, any transgenders? That's a fair question. That's a fair question. You've got Nigerians. You've got I forgot whatever exotic. People using the term exotic disrespectfully now, kind of exotic people on there. Any transgenders? How about that? Fair question. Going back to the died suddenly, looking at it, what I'm seeing here is something that should be rewarded. I'm not going to bury the lead again. Here is the clip. And all I'm going to say is I appreciate you.
The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year were those who made a choice not to be vaccinated. I don't think I've ever experienced a situation in my lifetime where a person was fired from their job, or not allowed to watch their kids play hockey, or not allowed to go visit a loved one in long-term care or hospital, or not allowed to go get on a plane to either go across the country to see family or even travel across the border. So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty extreme level of discrimination that we have seen. I don't take away any of the discrimination that I've seen in those other groups that you mentioned, but this has been an extraordinary time in the last year in particular. And I want people to know that I find that unacceptable, that we are not going to create a segregated society on the basis of a medical choice. The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year.
Okay. Let me bring that back again. I just like to, sometimes it takes a couple times to absorb a clip. And who is this person? I don't follow Canadian politics. First major world politician apologizes to the unvaccinated. What year is it? It's 2023. We damn near done with 2023. If this is accurate, I think it is. The first major, I did hear another apology for somebody. I think it was a doctor. I did a segment on that, I believe. First major world politician apologizes to the unvaccinated. The first, October 2023. Why is that when that happened? I think that's when it happened. Why is it taking so long? And the apology, that's not enough, but it's a start. Danielle Smith, the premier of Alberta, Canada. Is that like a mayor? I'm very ignorant in Canadian politics. Is the first major elected, I apologize, I think I hit a wire. Is the first, that's not good. That means I'm going to short out or something. The first major elected politician in the world to issue a heartfelt apology. 1, 2, yep. To the unvaccinated for crimes perpetrated against their human rights by the government during COVID lockdowns. She says, I'm deeply sorry. The first step is, I know it's not enough, I know it's not substantial, but this is the first step. This could be the first step, unless you just jump to substance. So I will take this as a first step. I want to hear you one more time, Danielle Smith.
The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year were those who made a choice not to be vaccinated. I don't think I've ever experienced a situation in my lifetime where a person was fired from their job, or not allowed to watch their kids play hockey, or not allowed to go visit a loved one in long-term care or hospital, or not allowed to go get on a plane to either go across the country to see family or even travel across the border. So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty extreme level of discrimination that we have seen. I don't take away any of the discrimination that I've seen in those other groups that you mentioned, but this has been an extraordinary time in the last year in particular. And I want people to know that I find that unacceptable, that we are not going to create a segregated society on the basis of a...
She must be rewarded for that take. Politicians should be treated like children. They should be treated like domestic animals where you give them a treat. And you can even do it just with positive. That's what you do with a dog. You do all positive reinforcement. Give her a treat, give her a thank you, give her a shout out. You can tell her it's not enough. It's the first step, but you've done more than others have. Now, I don't need an apology. You can just go right to the problem that happened and the solution and why it will never happen again with no apology, and I'm good with that. But if you apologize first, then that lets me know, okay, you've apologized, so then now you acknowledge we need to change something. How is it not going to happen again? Now I have questions that you must answer because you apologize. Otherwise, your apology is fake, and then you get no more positive treats from me. You don't get those little doggy nibble treats anymore. I appreciate you. When are we going to get that in America? Do you see Nancy Pelosi apologizing anytime soon? Nancy Pelosi be like, you need to apologize or you need to thank me that I didn't lock all y'all up. Figure out a way to press charges up on y'all ass. Press up on a judge or something. Get some charges on your non-vaccinated ass. Nancy Pelosi be like, you all need to get on your knees. Thank me. That's how our American politicians view it. Say sorry. Our American politicians are savage, man. We let these babies, kids grow up. There ain't no discipline in them now. Don't worry about that. It's too late. We are the domesticated animals now. They're the ones that give us treats when we say the rainbow flag is good, you get a treat. And they don't have a problem with negative reinforcement. They'll beat your ass. Literally, figuratively. They'll set your ass up. Even if you're innocent, you're in a DC area, the jury will find you guilty because of your politics. They will lock you up and take away your freedom. There ain't no apology coming. You see an apology coming from Dr. Fauci? That ain't going to happen. But for her, appreciate you. And shoot, who knows? Canada could be a good option. It's not better now. We know that. They don't have the Bill of Rights or even pretend to like we, at least we pretend. But They could have, because we really don't have it. They could have a better situation. When you see stuff like that, we're learning a little bit from Canada. Remember the truckers' protest? They led the way on that, not us. Canada led the way. Peaceful, beautiful protest. Man, that was a fun time to do lives and listen to the shows and the kind of the segments and people that I follow. That was a great time. Even, you know, through the darkness of the pandemic, they came out, had a party, dancing, all on peace, put their livelihood on the line, and Canada rose up. They showed the evil. They forced them to shut down the Give, Send, Go or whatever it is, and then had them hem up on their bank accounts, showing the whole world, look what they'll do when you start asking questions about this war and stuff like that. You saw what happened with Ye. They went ahead and tried to annihilate Ye. They scared Ye so much, he went on a boat and was like, hey, I just need my wife to service me real quick. I ain't in this game no more. They made Ye. He's like, I'm out the game, y'all. This politics game? I don't know this for real. I'm just joking. Maybe he's still in, but I haven't seen much of Ye lately. They had Ye like, I'm out. I'm just going to have my wife parade around in nude colored spandex, making her look naked and just have fun with her because I'm out this game. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I won't. Yeah, he's like, Massa, I won't act a fool anymore, Massa. I haven't heard Ye say anything about a Jewish person in a minute. Ye, like, I love Jewish people. They got Ye straight real quick, didn't they? That's what happens. You shut down the bank account. I mean, he's banking somewhere else now, I think, but you cut down the contracts, you could shut the bank account out. Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry, Massa. I might do the same. Who knows? Easy for me to talk about gulags now. I don't like insects. The first time I go in a gulag and then a cockroach start crawling around, I'll be like, what do you need me to say, Massa? I love the rainbow, Massa. Joe Biden is the best, Massa. Israel, those bombs are beautiful in Israel. How they destroyed the Gaza Strip and all those innocent citizens, Massa. Kill more, Massa. Do more, Massa. What do you want me to say, Massa? That'd be me. After I see one cockroach, my son had a little fake. Why did we buy him fake cockroach? Where did he get this fake cockroach from? He has this fake plastic. It's a literal fake cockroach. And it's on the ground on the house. I'm like, what the hell is that? Oh, I was like, oh, it's just fake cockroach. I'm like, bro, take that. I'm like, throw that thing out. I don't want to see that around here. That's the thing I used to watch, like Naked and Afraid a lot. I'd be like, I could do it. I actually think I could do Naked and Afraid. I can't do insects though. That just is a no-go. So it's just not gonna work for me, dog. It's a no for me, dog. I can't do insects. And that's the number one thing, the women, especially for some reason, whatever the women give off, they attract more insects, I guess. And they got the bites and all that. I'm like, I'm good. I can't even look at your bites. Your bites are freaking me out. So I'm good. If you could guarantee a no insect environment, I could do Naked and Afraid. I seriously do think I could do it. I have no problem fasting. It'd be fun trying to hunt, even though I'd be a failure at hunting or whatever. That'd be fun. It'd be cold at night, but as long as there's no insects, really wouldn't even bother me. At least knowing that it would only be for whatever. How many days is it? I haven't watched it in a while. But the first time they put me in the gulag, and then those cockroaches start coming out, those spiders start coming out, I'd be on my knees like, what? Kamala Harris, she's black. Black Lives Matter. When Black Lives Matter Chicago posted that paratrooper and said that they stood with the paratroopers that killed and raped innocent citizens, Massa, I'm with them, Massa. Don't hurt me. Even though they took it down, I'm still with them, Massa. That's probably gonna be me. I'm not gonna front. It's easy to say until you get hemmed up. Until they shut off your bank account. Shoot, they shut off the bank account, you can't pay the bills. I'll be like, what do you need me to do, Massa? I come up on the live, and my next live will be Carrie Lake, radical extremist. She should be locked up. Next at 11. And he'd be like, what the hell happened to Osiris? And I'd be like, they locked up my bank account. What do you want me to do? I'll be like, Master, what you need me to do? No, I can't do that. I can't sell out. But I am out right now. Take care. Peace. It's 21 days. Okay.